Hello, healing friends. This is Steve from the dungeon. And I'm a red dragon. So we have Dungeons and Dragons. And it's a good cave moment for me. And I'm going to go ahead and state the words out loud, and you can, if you wish to do so as well. So I connect to my deep self. I connect to my higher self. I connect to my highest self. I ground myself to the healing center of the earth. I open to the healing power of the one consciousness. I let go of anything not useful to me now. And I choose to work with the Hathors. I connect to the world healing field. And I ask that all working with this world healing field be surrounded in a field of protection while they do the work. And I ask the higher self to take us through the portal of time to the event that we'll be releasing and integrating that would be of the highest good for the world. And I invite all souls who are affected by this event to return to the event, release and integrate the energy of the event for themselves, and I ask that they be placed in a field of protection while they do the work. And upon arrival at the event, I ask the higher self to assist us to release and integrate all energies of this event gently and easily, fully and completely on all levels and through all space and time. So I'm going to work with you. I don't know who you are, that you've connected to this video, you've initiated, hit that play button. And you may be one of the people who have been doing these healing sessions with me for some time. Or you may be a person who's just like, all of a sudden I showed up on the side of your sidebar of your computer and you thought, wonder what this is about. Either way, this is a healing field. There was a healing field set up around the earth at the end of January 2020, so it's coming up on 5 years. And I and many other people have been helping to ground the energies of disturbance that have been coming out through people's trauma reactions to the events of the past 5 years and the continuing events that continue to go on and trigger these trauma reactions. And when we act from this place of trauma, we kind of dump a lot of emotion into the world field. So that emotion may be fear, that emotion may be anger, that emotion may be grief, or a combination of all three, or other emotional types of a slightly different vibration. But these are referred to sometimes as trauma triggers, and something external triggers something internal related to a trauma that we've not resolved. And we have these emotions come to the surface, we feel them, and then we feel like we need to do something about them until we've had some training, and then we realize we don't need to do anything about them other than acknowledge them. Because when these emotions come to the surface, this is an opportunity to release them. So I'm going to teach you just one exercise for doing that. When you get triggered, you have these emotions come up, this intensity shows up for you and for everyone when they're triggered, and we want to tell a story of what the other person did and why it was so horrible and why they shouldn't have done that thing, and whatever it is. A trauma trigger is typically a mild trauma, but then we want to solve the original trauma by kind of nailing the person who was the trigger in this most recent trauma. They looked at you the wrong way, whatever, they spoke in a condescending manner, whatever it was that they did, however it was a trigger for you. If you can just honor yourself enough to keep your space and acknowledge, whoa, I've got some intense feelings right now. And then if you watch the story that comes up, the story is related to the original trauma. And if you can acknowledge, you can hear the story, see what you want to say, see what you want to do, all that stuff. If you can really acknowledge that story without getting into it, then you can acknowledge the emotions of that story without getting into them. It takes practice, but you can do it. And then you separate the story and the emotions all the way out to arm's length. And when the story and the emotions are separated by arm's length, in this case 5 foot 8 inches, they release. And the emotions release, and then the story has no charge. And we do this repeatedly. So we've gone back to an event, and we've invited all souls affected by this event to return to it, and they're in a field of protection. And upon arrival at the event, we've asked the higher self to assist us to release and integrate all energies of the event, gently and easily, fully and completely on all levels and through all space and time. And so we're doing that. We're releasing the energies of this event. So I'm going to be noticing what I'm feeling physically. I'm going to be noticing what I'm feeling. I'm noticing that my shoulders are pulled forward. My back has risen. There feels like there's some compression in the base of my skull from the energetics of this event we've gone back to. So I'm feeling it in other places, but I'm just giving you an example of some locations. I'm feeling my brow furrow from the energy. I'm feeling like I'm pulling in. I'm feeling like my solar plexus is contracted. I'm feeling like my abdomen is holding itself tight. And I want to just rock back and forth. It's just a description of how an event might affect you or might affect me. That was how this event did affect me, so I wasn't making that up, unless we're making everything up. That's another story. But if I wasn't making that up, I was actually feeling it, which I was, then I was just describing that feeling, and those particular locations are typically related to the release of fear. Yesterday morning, I woke up and was aware that I was feeling grief. And I didn't even explore it. I'm really typically very interested in emotions and where they're coming from, and I'm having an emotion, and am I clearing some unresolved event? These are my thoughts because I'm basically an energetic healer with a main interest in healing trauma. So that's like kind of who I see myself as in the world. It, I love it, and so it's full time. I mean, I'm one of the grounders of the World Healing Field disturbance. So I do that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'd say in the last 5 years, I've had maybe three, somewhere between 3 and 7 days off. So you think 5 times 365 days, it could come pretty close. It's like 3,000. 5 times 365, so 5 times 60 is 300. 5 times, you know, 3 is 15. So 2,000 days? 2,000 days approximately. 5-4 would be 2,000, so a little under 2,000 days of grounding the disturbance of the world. It's a lot. And I'm not complaining. I'm continually looking at ways that I can make it easier for myself so I can make it easier for the world to do this, to let go faster, to ground energy faster. But yesterday, out of the dream world, I woke up feeling quite a bit of grief, and I just didn't get lost in it. I didn't try to figure out, what's this grief from? Is this grief from the world field? Is this a client who's experiencing grief? I just didn't go there, which I oftentimes have. But I've been getting more and more just like observing the energies I'm feeling and not exploring them. Just observe and release, catch and release program in the emotional fishing guidelines. Catch and release. You find the emotion, you release the emotion. You catch the emotion, release the emotion. Catch and release. But then I got a text message of a client wanting a session. And I felt it. I felt that energy I'd been feeling all morning, and I said, certainly we set up a time to not very far later, maybe a half hour later, we were going to get on the phone and do a healing session. And the session had to do with the upcoming, not quite occurred yet, passing of an ancestor, a close family member. And so now I'm just going to talk about this for a minute. So now you and I and many, many, many souls affected by this event that's in the place of timelessness. So this is an event that has occurred and is occurring. Because in the place of timelessness, everything is occurring at the same time. So when you have the higher self take you to an occurrence, it may be an occurrence that was in your past, but not resolved, so it's in your present. So it's actually happening in the space of no time continuously until you go back and resolve it. So that's what we've done. We've gone back to resolve it, and we're resolving it. But if you're with me, if you've stayed on this computer with me, whether you have or not, you might be feeling this. But I felt fine in the area of my heart before I started this video and this healing session. But now I have tremendous pain in my heart. So if you are like I was and am coming out of being, I like my mind, I like exploring, I like understanding healing processes so they can be repeated. But right now I could be saying, is this heart pain from this event? Because I wasn't feeling this heart pain when I set up the field for this event, and now I am. I could say, is this heart pain related to the person I did the healing work with yesterday about the passing of the future passing of an ancestor? Or is this heart pain related to the passing of that ancestor, which occurred this morning? So yesterday we did the healing session related to that ancestor, and this morning the ancestor passed, and I was notified. When I talk about that the ancestor has passed, I begin to feel the pain come out of my heart. So we can look. There's a saying, and I'm going to look it up so I can get it right. But the saying is something like, synchronicity is a growing awareness of mental telepathy. So the reason these events happen, that, the synchronicity of it is mind-boggling. You pick up the phone to call your friend, and the phone starts ringing, and it's your friend. That's synchronicity related to telepathy. This happened to me just the other day, like maybe 3 days ago, where I was going to call my friend, real dear friend, I was down at the beach. It's about 8 blocks away. I was at the beach. It had begun to rain, and I had gotten in my car, and I wanted to talk to my friend. So I got on, and as I was getting ready to punch her number in, I saw that phone notification. And I didn't want to know who was notifying me, so I just punched her, the call button, and she answered. Well, the notification was she had been calling me, and she was leaving me a message on her phone, on my phone, from her phone, while I was calling her. We were calling at the same time. That's synchronicity, and that's telepathy, because this happens for her and I fairly frequently. We think about each other, one or the other calls. I was just thinking about you. And I was just thinking about her. And I'll contact her later and I'll say, what was up for you at 2:51 when all this heart pain began releasing? And people who return to an event on a soul level aren't necessarily conscious that that's happening. So we can telepathically speak directly to the soul of an individual. So you have an individual, And that individual has many, many parts. They have a physical part, they have a mental body, they have an emotional body, they have an etheric body, they have a spiritual body, they have what's called a being. And you could say, well, the being is a spiritual body, and it may be true, may not be true. Yeah, and none of this, it's all kind of dividing it up for a better understanding, but it's just so we can talk about these things that aren't divided up. They're working together, but they're not divided up. They're all aware of each other. The mental body is aware of the emotional body, and we may have put up some borders between the consciousness of the two, and we may be divided up based on trauma. And we may be divided from our world based on trauma. But when I invite all souls who were affected by the event to return to the event, to release and integrate the energy of the event for themselves, the person isn't necessarily conscious, nor do they need to be, that they've gone back to this event. If you get on the computer and see me, and I set up a healing field, I suggest you say the words out loud of connecting to your deep self, opening to your higher self, connecting to the healing center of the earth, opening to the healing power of the one, choosing to work with a Hathors if you want some help. All those things prepare you for what might happen in a healing session. Someone in a comment the other day said that they just so resonated with what I said in the video. Is it possible for them to have a private session? And I said it is. You can go to my site, YouTube site, and you can have a private session every day. Or you can have a healing session every day. You can have a tarot session, or a Taurus session, or whatever. You have a tarot session. You can have a Mayan calendar reading session. I got the most beautiful response from one of my subscribers to one of my recent videos where she said that her heart was so touched. She felt like my words were her words speaking to herself and healing herself through the words that I was speaking. This is how it works. Don't ask me to explain it. When I say we're all part of the consciousness of the one consciousness, we can't not be not. We cannot not be a part of it. It's one consciousness. We can be part of a family, and we can ostracize ourselves from the family because the family is just too traumatized or traumatizing for us. So we can make a choice that I don't choose to participate because it feels like it's just more trauma, more trauma, more trauma. Or you could say, I choose to participate because it's more healing, more healing, more healing. Because we can be healing the trauma as it's happening once we gain skills. You don't want to jump into it necessarily right away. But we can separate ourselves from the family, but we cannot, but we're still part of the family. Because energetically, we can put up We can put ourselves in bomb shelters, family bomb shelters, just to avoid our particular family that just triggers us, triggers us, triggers us. We can hide from them, but we cannot not be a member of that family. We could just be an estranged member of that family, but we're still a member of that family. Same is true of the oneness. We may have separated ourselves. Obviously, if you don't just, and you and I don't feel like we're just part of the oneness, then we've separated ourselves from it and we closed ourselves off to it. And we've lived this life, for whatever reason, separate from the oneness. And I would say it's because we have these unresolved events and we have a perception, a belief system, a mental construct, a thought form around the word God. And that belief system, mental construct, thought form, matrix has to do with what you were taught existed. And so you may have gone to a place where you say, I reject the concept of God. You could say God does not exist. You could say God has saved me so many times. You can say all the different interactions you've had with this construct called God. But when it's a construct, like a religious construct, our God's name is Allah, whatever. I'm not picking a group. It's just like the name that came into my consciousness. My God is Allah. My God is Yehovah. My God is Kumandama. And I would say it's a construct. And all the beings who have trained me, that I trust implicitly, have suggested to me that I let go of that belief in a God that is male, that can smote me. Just let it go. And I did. I stated out loud, I disconnect from the matrix of God surrounding the planet, the thought form. And when I did that, I reconnected with the oneness. I just felt like I was part of something very large. And as my guide suggested to me, this is us. All of us are connected to this one consciousness. All of us interact with each other connected to this one consciousness. And we're choosing to be here to assist you to connect with this one consciousness. And so now I work for them, offering you the opportunity to connect with that one consciousness. And I have very good friends, kind of spiritually based friends, and when I've suggested to them they might want to experience stating out loud, I disconnect from the matrix of God surrounding the planet, they've just gone, not going to happen. I don't want to be smote. I said, I know. I didn't want to be smoted either, and I went ahead and did it, and I disconnected from the matrix of thought about God surrounding the planet, and I didn't get smoted. Maybe it's a delayed smote, but I did it back in 2011, so I'm 14 years unsmoted. So I'm starting to feel like a little more comfortable about having disconnected from a thought form or a matrix, a word. Okay. So when I invite all souls affected by this event to return to the event and release and integrate the energy of the event for themselves, a heck of a lot of souls go back to that event. And they're placed in a field of protection so they can release the energy of this unresolved event for themselves. And when they do that, then they can help, once they're back in their bodies, because these souls have bodies that they live in, and the bodies, the minds, the hearts, the emotions may not consciously know that their soul is back resolving an event, but they're having an experience of something. Like they're having right now. And if you felt this event when you first went back to it and you went, oh, that's got some energy. Oh, it makes my shoulders go forward. Oh, it makes my head contract. That might have been the experiences of that event. It might have been something else going on in the world healing field as well. It could be both. But there's a lot. I gotta look and see if this sound's coming through okay. A lot. It seems like it's coming through okay. There's a lot going on in the world right now. There's been a lot from my perspective, but I knew it was coming for the last 28 years. But there's more now than there ever was before. The last 3 months have been more intense energetically than any period of time before that in my memory. And every day it creeps up to be a little bit more. The vibration just keeps going up. My stuff comes up. Vibration goes up. My stuff comes up. Vibration goes up. My stuff comes up. Vibration goes up. That's just the way it is. I don't know if we'll get days off before the 24th of March, 2025, the end of the 28 years cycle of cleansing. I don't care. It's less than 3 months away. I've been working this energy for 28 years. I've been working the world healing field for 5 years. I don't care what the world's, on some levels, I don't care what the world is like on March 24th of 2025. I just look forward to this healing, cleansing, 28 years of healing, cleansing energy to be completed. And what the world's like, if I'm still alive, I think I will be, but you just never know. If I'm still alive, I'll know then. Oh, this is what it feels like. And I may be going like, oh, this feels really good. And I may be actually feeling that really good prior to that day. I might feel pretty good every day, or I might feel pretty good every other day, or I might feel pretty good every 5 minutes, which is what it's felt like. I have had a session with my friend yesterday. Her ancestor was soon to depart. We did the session. It was beautiful. The ancestor departed today. The energies cleared in the event we went back to. We have released and integrated the energy of that event. So in relationship to that event, we are healed. Now I ask the higher self to assist all the souls that are returned to the event to help help the soul combine with that part of its self that had remained at the event and bring that combined soul back into the body in present time with all of its wisdom, power, clarity, compassion, creativity, and kindness. And I ask all those souls to ground themselves in the healing center of the earth and open up the portal for the delivery of the new energies into the earth now. And I ask all the beings to bring those new energies in now. And I ask that those new energies be activated. And I let the universe and beyond know that this has been done and that it's good. And that's a healing session. And they're all different and they're all the same. There's energy stuck to an event that would be in the highest good to release those energies from the event. And then have all those healed souls hold a space for new energies to come in. And we hold that space and those new energies come in, are activated. And we've done our job. And then we're done. It's one event. And another event. And another event. Another event. So this is the third event, third healing event that I've set up and taken people back to today on my computer, that are now, 2 of them are now at my YouTube channel. All healing events today, and what I understand is there's just going to be, all the times I'm available, but there's just going to be one healing event after another. It'll either be recorded or it won't be recorded. But regardless of whether you see a video on it, you could just know that probably there'll be a minimum of 3 healing events that you can participate in a day without having to sit and meditate and go into a quiet place, lock yourself in a room, a closet, to deal with the energies. No. Just know that there's a world healing field, and there's aspects that are being within that world healing field. There are events that are being cleared daily, and I'm just one of the people helping to clear them. There may be tons of people going back to events, clearing events right now. I just don't know them. I was trained to do this, and I do it, but I'm sure others were trained to do it. I mean, maybe I have developed all these energy skills so I can do it. I'm sure that's true. And I'm sure that many others have developed those skills too and are doing this at the same time, because we only have 2 months and 3 weeks to clean the whole thing. And so they've really stepped it up with me. They're having me do typically 3 sessions a day, not to count the individual sessions I do with clients, which are stepping up too, because people are feeling this and their stuff's coming up and they want some support to let go of their stuff. So they're getting some support from me to let go of their stuff. And you can get that support from me on this channel. I'm just here supporting the world, let go of its stuff. And probably will be for the rest of my life. But I'm just going one day at a time, and I'm just definitely holding March 24th in my consciousness as a day I look forward to arriving. And every day I get one day closer to it. It started off 28 years of cleansing, 27 years of cleansing, 26, 25, 24, blah, 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 blah. 12 more months of cleansing, 9 more months of cleansing, 7 more months of cleansing, 5 more months of cleansing, only 5 months. Only 3 more months. That was Christmas. Only 3 more months of cleansing. Now we're at 3 months and 3 weeks of cleansing. Pretty soon it'll be through. No, 2 months. 2 months, sorry. 2 months and 3 weeks of cleansing. It'll be 2 months and 2 weeks of cleansing. It'll be 2 months of cleansing. It'll be 1 month of cleansing. 3 weeks left of cleansing. 2 weeks left. 1 week left. 28 years of cleansing. Complete. We'll be giving each other high fives. And participate as much or as little as you want. People are going back on a soul level. You go back on a soul level when you participate in one of these healing fields. You just do on a soul level. You just go back to the event. Your soul can work it out. You don't need to see the event. I recommend you don't go back and look at the events. All right. It's a privilege. And boy, I managed to make that one last a really long time. Now must go. Change.